Hello, everyone, and welcome to my course research. My name is Jaden Barnes. I'm a senior here at NTCU, and after I graduate, I plan on becoming an occupational therapy assistant. Jumping right on into my project, let's start with section 1, acculturation, racial socialization, gender roles, and masculinity. Acculturation, by definition, refers to changes in behaviors, attitudes, and values that take place over time as two or more cultural groups come into contact. This means an individual is taking two cultures and trying to merge them in a way that makes sense to them, or they end up adapting to the dominant culture. Majority of individuals who are considered to be highly acculturated tend to conform to the white culture. Racial socialization is the process involving messages and behaviors about race that parents start to teach their children in preparation of certain social experiences. Parents can socialize their children in several different ways. They might teach their children about the mainstream of American society. They might teach their kids about Black culture, and they might even teach them about their minority status. Different types of experiences bring different life lessons. The main point parents want to get across is to accept your color. If a parent fails at this, it can result in the deterioration of that child's mental health and even cause them to have strong desires of wanting to be another race. Gender roles. Gender roles are the expectations and beliefs that people hold as to how males and females are supposed to think, feel, and act. This can lead to assumptions that women are less aggressive, men are more active, women are sensitive, and men are dominant. Nevertheless, in today's society, gender roles are being challenged every day. And speaking of gender roles, let's discuss masculinity and hypermasculinity. Masculinity is a part of a male's identity. In a study, males describe fathers, community members, and teachers as their influence for the construction and understanding of the Black male identity. Robert Douglas and Curtis Bowles. While learning how to be a man, there are certain aspects that males use to describe themselves as being a man. These aspects include providing, procreating, and protecting their loved ones. Athletics, as well as academic success and taking responsibility, are also described as aspects and markers of masculinity. Following these aspects too much can result in hypermasculinity. Hypermasculinity is an exaggerated form of masculinity, characterized by physical and emotional toughness, aggressiveness, and an emphasis on wealth. For example, being a cold stone rapper who protects by day and kills by night. Coming into today's society, social media plays a major role in hypermasculinity. Everyone wants to be the toughest, the most feared, and the most successful. Most of it is just for show and not truly how the male acts. And since we touched on gender roles and masculinity, it's only fair to talk about femininity as well. Just like masculinity, femininity is also a part of a woman's identity. It's more associated with social and economic justice issues, such as educational equality and economic equalities. Unlike males, feminine culture doesn't require certain aspects to make you a woman. Instead, our day to day lives are what makes us women. Womanism, coined by Alice Walker, defines a womanist as a Black feminist or feminist of color who is committed to the survival and wholeness of entire people, male and female. A womanist does not create a hierarchy between the fight against racism and sexism, but embraces both as necessary. Brian Davis and Comas Diaz. Being a woman isn't just a gender or a description of a person. It's an identity, and one that doesn't come easy. Not saying that men have it easier, but women do tend to have to put more effort into things than men do. And moving right along to section 2, research on African American communities. We all know that it takes a village, right? But what happens when that village is a barely livable environment and could be done so on purpose? This is called disadvantaged neighborhoods. Poverty in urban neighborhoods, poverty in poor urban neighborhoods, and other negative factors associated with urban poverty results from the loss of resources from urban cores. Past transitions in poor urban communities are linked to neighborhood structures that support limited access to employment, social resources, and infrastructure. Neighborhood and child development outcomes. Exposures to toxic substances, overcrowding, and poor housing quality affect child development and not in a positive way. But I can say that there is a possibility that social support, resilience, and the presence of other similar social racial neighbors may play a role in children's resilience. In fact, our textbook even states that neighbors in ethnically diverse neighborhoods are correlated with higher academic achievement among African American males. Section 3, Friendship and Peer Relationships. Peer relationships and friendships are important to the social and psychological well-being of humans. Male friends bond by participating in common activities, whereas female friends bond by sharing emotions. It's a no-brainer that gender differences in friendships are universal because men and women are universal. Just like how women view their friendships more positively than men do, and their friendships are more intimate. Racial and ethnic differences in friendship networks. Friendship networks vary by ethnicity. In Black culture, family can be a huge source of support and friendship. Over time, we tend to look towards a family member for advice on how to get ahead rather than asking a friend. Friendships tend to occur within one's own racial or ethnic group, with individuals seeking out peers who are similar to them. Adolescent friendships form from feelings of trust, intimacy, and instrumental support. Making friends when you're young is very important, especially when you grow up and grow old with them. African American adolescent male relationships. There has been limited research on close friendships among African American males, but in our textbook, representation of friendships among adolescent boys, especially African Americans and other ethnic minority males, often frame them as being more interested in playing, competing, and boasting than in talking together and sharing personal aspects of their lives. But is that really true? According to an interview conducted on 135 males, way, three themes emerged. One was the importance of and the desire they have for sharing secrets in their close relationships. Sharing secrets was what defined a best friend, and violations of secrets were a primary reason for terminating those close friendships. The second theme was that close friendships were important for mental health. Boys reported that without their close friends, they would be depressed, unhappy, and all alone. The third theme was not all friendships are perfect. Some were lost and or the trust was violated. But boys as human beings continue to desire friendships. African American adolescent female relationships. Relationships are central to females. As I said before, we tend to view our friendships more positively and have a positive and fulfilling relationship are especially critical to African American girls' identity and self-worth. Oftentimes, during puberty, girls will resort to relational aggression. Relational aggression involves behaviors such as gossiping, withdrawing affection to get what you want, and socially excluding others. When girls start to find themselves, they sometimes adapt to different personalities before they find their true identity. And this aggressive behavior doesn't necessarily last long. In our last section, health promotion, disease prevention, and healthcare utilization. Living in neighborhoods without safe spaces to walk or exercise and neighborhood crime are some reasons African Americans engage in less physical activity. With how dangerous the world is becoming for Black people, we rather stay inside where it's safe than to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Stress, especially resulting from perceived and actual discrimination experiences, also impact health promotion behaviors. You can't work out because you're too stressed, and you can't reduce your stress because you don't work out. Eating at least 3 servings a day of fruit and vegetables is associated with reduction in obesity and chronic illnesses. Being overweight or obese is a major risk problem among many African Americans because it is a precursor for many chronic conditions. In an area with little to no resources, yoga, group therapy, and other stress relieving activities can help not only reduce disease, but also provide outlets for African Americans. Healthcare utilizations. Morbidity, mortality, disability, and active activity limitations are affected by healthcare utilization patterns. African Americans are less likely than whites to have primary care physician contacts and more likely to have emergency room visits and longer periods of hospitalization. This is because of systematic racism, and it could lead to fatalities if not dealt with correctly. Of course, not all doctors are racist, and most want to help, but Black people are just too traumatized and won't go to a hospital and let it unless it is a life or death situation. And here is the fun part, my program application. So my program targets 16-year-olds and up. Basically, my program involves getting to know yourself and getting more confident at being Black. It consists of 1 hour sessions during a week for a full month. During this month, participants will be building skills and knowledge that involve masculinity, femininity, your neighborhood location, and health promotions. By the end of this program, I want people to be more confident in being Black and be more knowledgeable on Black society. So that is it, you guys. Here's my reference list. And before we go, here are my questions. Question number 1, in your opinion, why is racial socialization important? Question number 2, what can you do to promote health and disease prevention? And question number 3, how has your friendships changed over the years? Thank you guys for listening and have a wonderful day.